More Songs About Buildings and Food is the second studio album by the American rock band Talking Heads, released in July 1978 and the first of a string of 3 co-produced by Brian Eno. The band's blend of funk, bubblegum, country, reggae and punk influences, with David Byrne's voice, established the group as a critical success, reaching 29 in the US Billboard Pop Album charts and 21 in the UK Albums chart. Release: More Songs About Buildings and Food was released on July 21, 1978. It peaked at number 29 on the Billboard Pop Albums chart. The album's one single, a cover of the Al Green Take Me to the River, peaked at number 26 on the Pop Singles chart in 1979. The single pushed the album to gold record status. In 2003 the album was ranked number 382 on Rolling Stone magazine's list of the 500 greatest albums of all time. In 2006 it was ranked the 45th best album of the 1970s by Pitchfork Media. It was ranked number 57 on Rolling Stone magazine's list of the greatest albums of 1967 to 1987. In 2005 it was re-released and remastered by Warner Music Group on their Warner Brothers, Sire and Rhino Records labels in dual-disc format, with 4 bonus tracks on the CD side, alternate versions of I'm Not in Love, and The Big Country, and the Country Angel version of Thank You for Sending Me an Angel. The DVD audio side includes both stereo and 5.1 surround high-resolution mixes, as well as a Dolby Digital version and videos of the band performing Found a Job and Warning Sign. In Europe, it was released as a CD plus DVD A2 disc set rather than a single dual disc. The reissue was produced by Andy Zax with Talking Heads. Style: Writing for All Music, William Ullman said. If the band's sound seems more conventional, the reason simply may be that one had encountered the odd song structures, staccato rhythms, strained vocals, and impressionistic lyrics once before. Another was that new co-producer Brian Eno brought a musical unity that tied the album together, especially in terms of the rhythm section, the sequencing, the pacing, and the mixing. Where Talking Heads had largely been about David Byrne's voice and words, Eno moved the emphasis to the bass and drums team of Tina Weymouth and Chris Frantz. All the songs were danceable, and there were only short breaks between them. Reviewing the album for Pitchfork's Top 100 Albums of the 1970s, Nick Sylvester said, More Songs About Buildings and Food transformed the Talking Heads from a quirky CBGB spectacle to a quirky near-unanimously regarded it band. New producer Brian Eno can take his due credit for the album's success, smartly tightening up the rhythm section's energy for more dance-oriented beats and a more prominent role in general, though without taking the limelight off head David Byrne's nervous sputters. Byrne's own songwriting was, as the album title suggested, in the same quotidian vein as 77, though perhaps Buildings and Food has slightly more vitriol, especially on album Closer, The Big Country, Byrne's indictment of the South. More Songs About Buildings and Food probably could have survived as a cult album by a cult band, but what really opened up the Talking Heads for a national audience was the band's slinky cover of Al Green's famous Take Me to the River, which put them on the top 30 singles charts for the first time. Album cover and title: The front cover of the album, conceived by Byrne and executed by artist Jimmy DeSana, is a photomosaic of the band comprising 529 close-up Polaroid photographs. The rear cover of the album shows a satellite image of the United States. Concerning the album's title, bassist Tina Weymouth was quoted in a 1979 interview. When we were making this album I remembered this stupid discussion we had about titles for the last album, Tina smirked. At that time I said, what are we gonna call an album that's just about buildings and food? And Chris said, you call it More Songs About Buildings and Food. XTC frontman Andy Partridge claimed in a tweet, however, that he gave the title to Byrne. Track listing: all songs written and composed by David Byrne, except where noted. Personnel Talking Heads David Byrne Euro vocals, guitars, synthesized percussion, Chris Frantz Euro drums and percussion, Jerry Harrison Euro piano, organ, synthesizer, guitar, backing vocals, Tina Weymouth Euro bass guitar, backing vocals. Additional personnel Brian Eno Euro synthesizers, piano, guitar, percussion, background singing, Tina and the Typing Pool Euro backing vocals on The Good Thing. Recording personnel Benji Armbruster Euro assistant engineer, Rick Davis Euro engineer, mixing, Joe Gastwhite Euro mastering, Ed Stasium Euro mixing on Found a Job. Charts, album, singles. Certifications. Cover versions of songs, Electric Six covered the song Girls Want to Be with the Girls on their cover album Mimicry and Memories. References